Hi guys. Like I said yesterday, I am not here today. I'm at a workshop. So, a couple of things you're going to be doing. You can see everything in Google Classroom. Obviously, if you got to this video, you got to Google Classroom. So, we are going to complete together part of this feedback worksheet. Then you have a CASA Learning assignment that has been assigned to you called Homeostasis and Feedback Review. A couple pages to complete in your Foxbook, and then I have posted the Body Systems game kits that you can play to help you start to review for your Body Systems test, which I think right now I'm thinking it's going to be next Friday. Okay, so as we think about homeostasis, all right, homeostasis is maintained by feedback mechanisms. So, to just quickly review homeostasis, I know that you know what this is all about. We've talked about it before. Another term for homeostasis is dynamic equilibrium. And so, this is, kind of the balancing act that all organisms have to go through to keep things within an acceptable range. So, if we look at this little graph here, we're looking at the homeostasis of body temperature. We have an average, and over time will fluctuate around that average, but our body will work to try and keep it as close to that average as possible. Okay, so let's look at feedback mechanisms. So we've talked about these already a little bit. So homeostasis is often maintained using these feedback mechanisms, and there are cycles in which the product of one reaction causes another to start or stop. So there might be a balanced state is created by many small opposing changes. So for example, if you're hot, you start to sweat, right? As that sweat is evaporating off your body, it's taking body heat energy to go through the phase change, going from a liquid to a gas, cools you down, you stop sweating. All right. If you're too cold, all right, if you're too cold, what do? Well, you start to shiver. So your muscles start to contract and relax very quickly. That generates some body heat. All right. So you warm up and then you will stop shivering. Right. Blood sugar. We've talked about this a lot in the last couple of classes. So if you have high blood sugar levels, all right, the pancreas will release that insulin that will cause the blood sugar levels to become lower. And if they get too low, the pancreas will release that glucagon in order to maintain this equilibrium. Okay. So we've seen kind of this diagram already before. So let's just we've talked a lot about how the pancreas works to regulate glucose, but let's kind of think about, what are the steps? How, and this is an example of Regent's question about feedback mechanisms. Right, so using the diagram below, explain how feedback mechanisms maintain homeostasis. So why don't you right now pause this video, all right, and write down your ideas. So go ahead and hit pause. Okay, so let's look at this. So we have number one, the glucose levels in the blood are high, all right? Signal will go to the pancreas to release insulin. Right? Insulin travels through the bloodstream, is going to be absorbed by the fat cells. That will cause glucose levels in the blood to lower. Oops. Right? If the glucose levels get too low, glucagon will be released by the pancreas, and then the liver will release glucose into the blood. Right? And then the glucose levels rise back to normal. right? And a lot of this, if you just kind of looked at this diagram and followed those arrows, right, it would help you. Okay, so let's look at the back. So on the back, kind of giving you a task to create a diagram to illustrate how feedback mechanisms in plants maintain water levels. So think about the guard cells. We looked at the guard cells of our wandering Jew. And so how do the guard cells react to the availability of water? So when it is dry, right, those guard cells close up. That keeps that water inside the leaf. When there is a lot of water, those guard cells will open up. All right, so that excess water can be released out of the plant. So go ahead and just kind of create a diagram to help you illustrate that. All right. On the next example, so create a diagram to illustrate how feedback mechanisms maintain oxygen levels for cells. All right. So if we increase our exercise, I feel like this is so small. All right. Increase exercise, our respiratory rates will increase. All right. So our carbon dioxide levels are going to increase. Right, as we're going through, our muscles are working, right? That cellular respiration is increasing, so more oxygen's used up. Carbon dioxide is created in that process of cellular respiration. The brain will detect that increased level of CO2. A signal will be sent to the lungs to increase the breathing. That signal really goes to the diaphragm, that muscle that controls our breathing. The breathing rate and the volume of air in each breath increases, and that means that more gas exchange is taking place. So we are getting rid of that carbon dioxide, bringing in that oxygen. All of that, remember, happening in the alveoli of the lung. And then the brain will also tell the heart to beat faster so that more blood is being pumped to the lungs, all right, for that gas exchange. It's kind of weird that little thing is right there. And, right, more oxygenated blood gets to the muscles, more CO2 is removed. All right, once that level balances out, once homeostasis has been maintained, another signal goes to the brain, kind of slow down our breathing rates. All right, the next two, I want you to pick some examples. All right, so I want you to do two different examples. You could think about hormone levels. So how are hormone levels maintained in the body? Blood pressure, all right, the production of red blood cells, the amount of calcium in your blood, all right, your metabolism, all right, thinking about when you're hungry, your metabolism slows down. So you may have to do a little Google research, right? You can draw some diagrams, you can write down some words. It's okay if you are talking through this with your table partner, but I just want you to think about some of these other ways that feedback mechanisms are used to maintain homeostasis. All right, feel free to pause this until you are ready to move on. Okay. Once you are done with that, you can go and grab your Fox books. You are going to be working on pages 33 through 37. The questions really start on page 36. And so on page 36 and 37, you are going to be answering questions 54 through 70. Right? Questions 65 through 70 are short answer questions, so make sure you are writing those on a separate piece of paper. Once you have that done, right, again, Kessel Learning assignment on homeostasis feedback. I think it's only maybe 16 questions, could only be 10, can't really remember. And then again, in this post is also the Body Systems GIM kit. So GIM kit is, and if you have time to do, right? Foxbook and Castle Learning are must-dos. So use your time wisely. Anything that you don't finish should be done for homework. So hope you guys have a great day. I will see you on Friday.